Howdy, name is Dave, channel's TXW5CSM. Today we're going to go through case preparation. So these were once fired Lake City 2012 NATO stamp 5.56 cartridge cases. They've already been tumbled. They have yet to go through the rest of the process. So I've basically got all the range dirt off of them. I'm not going to go through annealing, although I'll show you that process when we go forward. I use the Dillon case lubricant. This stuff is pretty good, nice and easy. Just spray a light film over them once, rotate them around a little bit, spray them again. Nice, quick, easy spray. Has a decent amount of alcohol content, so you just wait for the majority of the alcohol to evaporate. Here in the high desert of El Paso, Texas, it tends to happen pretty quick, even though there are some specification times on the bottle. Whatever case lube you use, go ahead and use it. They're all good. I don't know as one is better than another, as long as you do lubricate. Here in the background you'll see the Dillon 550 press. I'm going to, these cartridge cases still do have the primers and resizing die. Knocks the primer out, falls down into the catch. I happen to have a bucket down there to catch the spent primers. And this will take you through the deep priming and resizing process. I'll go ahead and do all 10. This takes you through how quickly you can resize, deprime, and prepare your cartridge cases. Occasionally one of the primers doesn't fall into the pocket. So they've been cleaned, they've been deprimed and resized. I will go through and for $5 or whatever it cost, this little primer pocket cleaning tool from Lee. Clean the pockets out real well. Just gets all that extra spent primer powder out of those pockets. I then have a designated towel that I will go through and remove the excess case lubricant from the cases. And because these are once fired, they still do have the military crimp in them. So as soon as I'm finished wiping them down, I will throw them into the swaging tool, show you how that works. They're all wiped down. Now for the swaging tool, I'm using the Dillon Super Swage 600. I'm not a Dillon fanboy, but when they make good stuff, they make good stuff. Okay, this will take the military crimp out of the cartridge case, so it will be able to accept a primer. That one is done. That one is not. Nice and easy. There are a bunch of modifications out there that folks have done to these small swaging presses that flip them up in the air and into buckets, and I guess you can have fun with that if you want to. But as you can see, it's fairly little effort. It's already adjusted. Just adjust it the way the instructions tell you to. I've never had a problem with it. When I place my first few cartridge cases through it, I had absolutely no issues with the Dillon 550 being able to feed the new primers in, and I have yet to lose a primer, even though I do fire an NAR rifle, and sometimes you can have issues with the primer's coming loose, which is why the military uses the crimp. Okay, now that we've finished swaging all the primer pockets, it's time to go through the gauging process. What I use for that is a couple of Lee products. I have the little shell holder, holds the case head in place. This portion rotates. Place the cartridge into it, crank it down, make sure it's seated in the center. This is also a Lee product. This is the 223 cartridge case trimmer. And the SAMI spec for the 223, the length is supposed to be 1.7720. For 5.56, it is supposed to be 1.7750. So we'll see exactly how this trims down. Normally I'll do this over trash can, but today I'm just going to have to sweep up later. So you place this down into the cartridge, and because the primer is missing, it bottoms out against the shell head holder, and once it bottoms out, you're all set. This is a Lyman deburring and chamfering tool. Just a couple little rotations there. Takes all the burrs off. Make sure it's all nice and clean. Remove it the same way you applied it, as far as pulling it out of there. And then putting it into the gauge. You'll notice that the gauge is setting flush against the top, slightly recessed when it's trimmed down. If it reaches above the little recessed portion, it is certainly in need of a trim, and you'll notice that the head lays flat against this portion of the gauge. So seeing as it's resized, swaged, everything is all set and ready to go. I'm going to grab the calipers here real quick and see what kind of a length we have on this thing. So the length on this is 1.754. So 1.77. So it's slightly shorter than the specification, but I've never had any issues with the bullet not seating and with the bullet coming loose. So that gives you those specifics. So I won't bore you with the rest of these. I will show you my annealing process, although I'm not going to anneal these right now. Remove that. I have a 10mm Craftsman socket that I put into the drill. I then have the perfect depth for annealing the cartridge case. When I do the annealing, I'll use this MAP gas torch. I will rotate it and heat it until it discolors. And then I'll normally have a bucket that I'll place those into. So because it will be slightly hot. You'll notice the discoloration of the annealing process on this cartridge versus another cartridge. So once that discoloration sets in, some folks will tell you to use different methods of thermal checking. You should only do that every 5 rounds or so, or if you notice that the cartridge is having a significant issue with the trimming process. So that takes you all the way through trimming. Once everything is trimmed, gauged, and wiped down clean, some people will take them and tumble them again to ensure that the primer pocket hole where the primer is going to initiate through is as clean as humanly possible. Some folks will say just take a pipe cleaner to it. Whatever your method is, you go ahead and have at it. And sometime later, I'll take you through the remainder of the process on the Dillon 550 press. But as far as everything that I do, these cases are totally prepped and ready to go, although this one's a little warm. I will throw them into just a bucket of water to cool them off. And then make sure they're dried so that no fouling gets into the reloading process. I'll let them sit for a couple days. Of course, here in the desert, it doesn't take much time at all. Okay, if you have any questions or other suggestions as to why I do what I do or how I do it, just drop me a note. And remember, knowledge is only power when it's shared.